Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Malik, and this is We Reflect the Light. This is where we look at current events that are taking place in the world today through the lens of the unsealed scriptures of the Bible that gives us detailed information on what is taking place in the world today and what is going to take place in the near future from the unsealed scriptures of the Bible. Sisters and brothers, we are at war. Sisters and brothers, the war in the Middle East, the war in heaven, is on. This war, sisters and brothers, will end in the destruction of false Israel. This war will change the reality that we live in today. Sisters and brothers, America will be thrown out of the Middle East, as well as Britain. Saudi Arabia will be thrown out the Middle East. Sisters and brothers, this war that we're witnessing is directly connected to us, the original black man and woman here in the hills of North America. Sisters and brothers, excuse me. Excuse me. Can't have that noise. All right. Michael and his angels are at war with the dragon and his angels. Michael's angel, Iran, is at war with the dragon and his angels. America, false Israel, Britain, and the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia, the dragon. Michael is Master Farad Muhammad. who will soon make his presence felt. Sisters and brothers, what we're witnessing in heaven is going to change our reality. This war will collapse the whole global economy. Sisters and brothers, the unsealed scriptures share with us detailed information that has given us a front row seat to this conflict. And the outcome of this conflict has already been given to us from the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the 7 seals of Revelations. Daniel the prophet, Master Suleiman, Joshua the Messiah. A perfect, detailed message from the lens of the unsealed scriptures. Sisters and brothers, America is committed itself into this war because America cannot allow false Israel to fail, as well as Britain, as well as the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia. False Israel has been set up by America and Britain to keep or to block, to keep and to block the truth of who the true seed of Abraham is from us, or the original black man and woman here in the hills of North America. Sisters and brothers, this is a lie constructed and drilled into our minds from years of enslavement, torture, drilled into our mind, making us think that if we don't accept this Christianity, this Jesus or Jesus, then we will die from this world that we have been afflicted in greatly for hundreds of years, and will die and go to a place to where we will be afflicted even more. So this fear tactic has been instilled in us, making us fear that if we don't believe in this Christianity or this Jesus or Jesus, then we will suffer in hell, a hell worse than the hell that we've been suffering in forever and ever. Sisters and brothers, America religious eschatology, this Christian eschatology, pushes a message that is not to be diverted from by these spiritual leaders. This message that false Israel is the true seed of Abraham, that false Israel are the so-called Jews or Israel. And that false Israel are the people that been in slavery for 400 years in a strange land. And false Israel are the people that have been given the land of Palestine as the reward of the Abraham covenant. Sisters and brothers, now, sisters and brothers, we are the true seed of Abraham. The original black man and woman here in America. Let us do this. Back to that. Now, sisters and brothers, we're going to read through this detailed message that has been given to us through scripture thousands of years before we went through the conditions, and gives us a detailed message of exactly what is going to take place in detail. So we're going to go through the message that was prepared thousands of years ago. Sisters and brothers, this is Genesis 15th chapter of Genesis. I think this is verse 12 through 18. It states, "And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. But thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age, and in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquities of the Amorites are not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces." Sisters and brothers, it clearly states that Abraham's seed, God shared with Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed will be sojourners in a strange land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Sisters and brothers, we have been brought to this strange land, kidnapped, and there's tons of proof, nothing that cannot be proven. We're the sojourners of Abram's seed that is in this strange land and have served this people of this strange land and has been afflicted by the people whom we serve for 400 years. Afflicted, and the affliction was a horror that Abraham seen, what we call the Holocaust. It was horror, horrific torture, affliction. We were labeled and are labeled as 3/5 of an animal in America's Constitution. There were no rights that applied to us. America, this man was able to do whatever he willed to us with no with no consequence. Now, I'm not going to use that word because they don't ever get away from consequence. With no immediate consequence. I'm just going, with no problem by the law. Sisters and brothers, (1619) to 2019 is 400 years from 1619 is the official date. The 1619 project is the official date of slavery. So 400 years from the official date gives us 2019. That's 400 years. Now, this detailed message lets us know that this will be the period of time into the judgment. After that 400-year period, the judgment of that nation, God's judgment on that nation would start or begin. And afterwards, that nation will be brought out. We will be brought out of this land that we sojourn in to return hither again. It states, and in the fourth generation they shall come hither again. For the iniquities of the Amorites is not yet full. So we are to return there to the land where Abram had the vision at. Sisters and brothers, this is a detailed message. This message is detailed down to it's a perfect detailed message that fits the reality of the original black man and woman here in America. You don't have to look anywhere. You don't have to make up anything. It's a perfect, detailed message that bears witness to where we are right now, today, in the hills of North America, in the land of our affliction, amongst the people, the nation that afflicted us for 400 years. Now, 2020, sisters and brothers, came in with the plague. They killed the firstborn. And the firstborn are the elderly. And the plague passed over the original people of the planet. So, sisters and brothers, the plague is what they call COVID-19, and it decimated the Caucasian nations. It killed, targeted the firstborn, and the firstborn are the elderly. They were born first. They're the eldest. The firstborn. And when you hear the firstborn, people think it's speaking about children. No, it said it's a detailed message. And if you don't read it accurately, you don't pay attention. It's been unsealed. However, it's the firstborn. The elderly are the firstborn. All right. So the plague passed us over. Those who had the bloodline of the Lamb, the DNA of the Lamb. Sisters and brothers. So those in Haiti, Africa, the originals all over the world was not being decimated, contracting the COVID. Yes, they said, oh, you test positive, but the messenger of the covenant said, don't worry about it. Yeah, maybe you would test positive, but many of us tested positive, but we had no symptoms. So, sisters and brothers, China and the World Health Organization has it written down that you can go find out that COVID was passing over the original black man and woman. There wasn't any mass fallouts in countries that were primarily original or black. We like to say Asiatic, the original people. So, sisters and brothers, this message is speaking. It jumps off the page. It's directly connected to our reality, sisters and brothers, to our nature. Nothing should be able to separate this message from your nature, your mind, the understanding of how it resonates with your nature, the truth, the truth that is easily seen. And it brings us to today. Now, sisters and brothers, the lie is that false Israel being placed in Palestine was the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant. However, sisters and brothers, Palestine is not sitting from the land, sitting from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. And Palestine is very small. Sisters and brothers, that day God made a covenant with Abram, saying, until thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. This land, sisters and brothers, is Arabia, where the house of Saudi has plastered its name as for rulership, ownership of Arabia. And sisters and brothers, I had its name on the tip of my tongue. However, the house of Saud is being put there as well, protected by Britain and America. Sisters and brothers, the unsealed scriptures of the angel, the gospel of Revelations, shares with us that the house of Saud is not even Muslims. That the house of Saud are Indians from India posing as if they're Arabs. That was set in Arabia to control Arabia, the land, to control the oil, and America, they're in on this. False Israel is in on this, and Britain is in on it to keep us from knowing who we are. Now, the house of Saud, the dragon, the house of Saud is being protected by America. They have been given this land, and they're sitting on that land, giving America cheap oil. They're supplying oil to false Israel. They're supplying oil to Britain, and they are the monarchy that has been set in these Gulf states. Sisters and brothers, the angel shares with us the war that we're witnessing. There's two Muslim factions. You have the Shia Muslims, then you have the Sunni Muslims. And the unsealed scripture shares with us that this war will also become a Sunni Shia conflict. Sisters and brothers, the dragon is waiting to devour our nation because they know that we're coming for our land. So the House of Saudi Arabia is against Iran, who is Michael's angel, because they're fighting to keep our land. So they need America, Britain, and false Israel to remain so that they're protected, or they can hide behind their armies and keep our land. However, sisters and brothers, we're going to look at a few things. Now, these things has been shared with us by the messenger of the covenant in detail, that we have been sharing this detailed information since reflecting this detailed information since 2020. Given the absolute timeline step by step of each and every event from the unsealed scripture that will take place up into right now. The information that's been given in detail through the unsealed scriptures, from the unsealed scriptures through the messenger of the covenant, gives us the knowledge to the outcome and what happens to each and every country in this arena. Sisters and brothers, the unsealed scriptures has shared with us who the House of Saud is, and has given us detailed information that there will be uprisings and other Shia factions that will rise up. Sisters and brothers, America has already lost this war. False Israel refuses to quit. To give up, to submit. And false Israel, sisters and brothers, you will find before they end up sieged and destroyed that they, being false Israel, are willing to drag the world into economic destruction and will attempt to bring the world into a nuclear fallout. Satan and the devil will show their hand, show their nature to the world. Now, sisters and brothers, this war that we're witnessing, when America's thrown out the Middle East, America will go immediately to war with their friend, their brothers, their sisters in Europe. Europe will immediately go to war with America. It will stem from an economic fallout. Sisters and brothers, when this economic fallout takes place, it's not just it's going to cause a halt in the nation's motion, food, jobs, mobility, everything is going to collapse. Now, false Israel is going to cause a world economic collapse. Sisters and brothers. And Europe will be offered fuel, a lifeline to their economy by Russia. Russia will offer Europe a lifeline to their economy if they, Europe, Germany, will fight aside or with Russia against America. Sisters and brothers, detailed information has been given to you, to us, far, far in advance. This message has been being broadcast for 30 plus years and has been given to us on a day-to-day delivery from the messenger of the covenant. Now, sisters and brothers, America Christians say, they don't get along with false Jews. They say that they're the spiritual seed of Abraham. That America is their promised land, and that's why they've done to us what they've done. This is their land. This is the promised land. This is their religious eschatology. And the false Jews say that they're God's chosen people, and the Christian religious eschatology share with you that the false Jews are God's chosen people. Now, up until Elijah Muhammad shared with the world that the original black man and woman here in the hills of North America are Abraham's seed and are God's chosen people. Now, in that, as we look at the Abrahamic covenant, and it states in that day God made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, which is Arabia. So, you have the house of Sod sitting that America placed in Arabia, they're not Arabs, they're really Indians. And America protects them so that they can get cheap oil, and the oil that is bought, you have to have, this petrodollar system, so everyone had to have. This is what made America's dollar strong. So everyone had to buy oil in dollars. Now, sisters and brothers, false Israel is set there in the Middle East to keep to block us from seeing that we're the true seed of Abraham. This is just a decoy, a lie that's been set up, and false Israel is masquerading with stolen our identity, and is masquerading, sharing that to the world that they're God's chosen people. And knowing that scripture already, that's how detailed the scriptures are. And they're written thousands of years in advance, and they have a message. The messages are so detailed. When if with the false Jews even lying, trying to deliver this lie as if the message is not perfectly clear. Perfectly clear. To exactly how how it's going to unfold. There's nothing in the message to say thousands of years you were enslaved, thousands of years ago, and then you're gonna eventually come to being given this. No, it gives detailed information. So even in them claiming that that the Jews was enslaved thousands of years ago, in Moses' time, the scripture even destroys that lie, because in the scripture Jesus is speaking to the Jews. It's really Joshua, and we'll get to that. But Joshua was speaking to the Jews. Joshua. And the Jews, and he shared with them that I will, this is paraphrasing, make you free. Follow me. I will make you free. This is just paraphrasing, but this had to do with the Jews. Now, and the Jews responded back to Jesus as, how? Make us free. How are you going to make us free? Make us free. They have responded, we have never been up under the foot of no man. We are Abraham's seed, and we have never been up under the foot of no man. So how can you make us free? So that that negates right there that false Israel or the Jews was ever in slavery, because they're speaking on this after the coming of Jesus, which is thousands of years that they're supposed to have been free. This is supposed to happen. So it hasn't happened since then, and there's no record of it ever happening. And they told you so they shared then that they've never been enslaved to no one. So it couldn't have happened back then, in the past. And it doesn't, the scripture is written and detailed. It doesn't fit the narrative anyway. And Jesus shared with them, no, you're not the seed of Abraham. You're the seed of your father, the devil. He shared this with the Jews. When you speaketh of a lie, you speaketh of your own. You're liars. You're the father of it. You're bold not in the truth. There's no truth in you. Your father was a murderer from the beginning. You're bold not in the truth. There's no truth in them. When he speaketh of a lie, they speaketh of their own, because they are liars and the fathers of it. Sisters and brothers, now let us look at all right, sisters and brothers, we're going to listen to 2 clips that is going to speak on why America is protecting false Israel, supplying false Israel, funding false Israel, because they're blocking and they know who the true seed of Abraham is, and they're using false Israel to block the truth from us, and thinking that they're going to use false Israel as they plan to get rid of us. Now, sisters and brothers, this is for the seizure and destruction of false Israel. This is what what they know, and what the understanding will be, what this reality will do to Christianity.
And if the Iranian war goes on too much longer, the nation state of Israel itself might cease to exist. That is a distinct possibility. If that happened, it would blow the minds of Christian Zionists and blow up the false teachings of Christian Zionism. How would John Hagee, Robert Jefferson, Franklin Graham explain that? More importantly, what would the followers of Hagee, Jefferson, Graham do? You can stick around in those churches if indeed Israel ceases to exist as a nation state and the Zionist regime is destroyed permanently. You're going to stay in these Christian Zionist churches and keep lapping up that gobbledygook, that nonsense, which now they're going to have to go through spiritual gymnastics to try and conform what they said in the past with what is now the present and make it fit the verses that they've been talking about for the last 75 years. That would be a joy to watch how they explain this from the Bible. And if the Iranian war goes on too much longer, the nation state of Israel itself might cease to exist. That is a distinct possibility. If that happened, it would blow the minds of Christian Zionists and blow up the false teachings of Christian Zionism. How would John Hagee, Robert Jefferson, Franklin Graham explain that? More importantly, what would the followers of Hagee, Jefferson, Graham do? You can stick around in those churches if indeed Israel ceases to exist as a nation state and the Zionist regime is destroyed permanently. You going to stay in these Christian Zionist churches and keep lapping up that gobbledygook, that nonsense, which now they're going to have to go through spiritual gymnastics to try and conform what they said in the past with what is now the present and make it fit the verses that they've been talking about for the last 75 years. That would be a joy to watch how they explain this from the Bible.
All right. All right, sisters and brothers. We're going to look at this other clip and then we'll continue.
The relationship between Jews and Zionist Christians is unlike anything else. You might wonder, if Jews have a negative view of Jesus, then why would certain Christians practically dedicate their lives to supporting them and the state of Israel? Listen to this rabbi explain.
The Christians evangelists here in America, which almost all of them are Republicans, they're probably all going to vote for Trump, and they are very pro-Israel. They are the ones that, thanks to them, United States always been with Israel in the last few decades. If you take out Christianity out of the picture, what United States has to do with Israel? The only things they are helping us is because of religion reason. But what a lot of Jews do not know is that they're not doing it for us. They are doing it only for themselves. Make no mistake. They all believe that once we will go back to the Holy Land, and J.C. Penney will show up to redeem the world, he will put us all to be burned in hell. That's what they believe, because we never accepted it, and we won't accept him. So why they want to help us to take over Israel, to win against the Arabs, make sure the Jews go, why they pay all these organizations that sponsor Aliyah? A lot of the people who made Aliyah, it's Christian money. All the airfare, it's all come from them. There's some Reform rabbis who have connection with them. They get hundreds of millions of dollars donation from them. Rabbis from Manhattan, from Texas. Why they are so generous? Why are they donating money to Israel? What do they care about Israel? The answer is because they believe the Messiah would come. They just have the wrong identity of the Messiah. That's it. They believe that it's actually JC.
So it really is quite interesting how two religions that fundamentally
Now, sisters and brothers, this is a rabbi. And sharing that the Jews, the false Jews, they don't even believe in Jesus. But the Christians are sharing with you that the false Jews are God's chosen people. This they know, let's say it like that, who we are. And as it's been shared, false Israel's destruction is near. This is going to bring the destruction of false Israel. False Israel destruction is going, this is it for false Israel. Now, this rabbi said, you know, why this is their whole concept, their whole reason for backing false Israel is because of Christianity, their religious eschatology. And the first video shared that this is what they've been preaching for 75 years. And what are the people, their followers, what is these Christian evangelists, Zionist evangelists going to do when false Israel is destroyed? It's going to shock. It's going to cause, it's going to destroy their whole religion, the whole religious eschatology. Now, sisters and brothers, we have false Israel's destruction. And then we have the synagogue, the dragon, the house of Sod. The monarchy of the Sunni faith being kept in power as well, because these Gulf states or monarchy states house American facilities, American bases, American assets, and pay America trillions of dollars to keep the monarchy, these families, in control or in rulership over the people. Now, sisters and brothers, the angel shares with us that the house of Saudi Arabia, that they're not even Arabs, that they're Indians, acting as if they're Muslims or Arabs. And the Sunni Arabs are the jinn, those that refuse to have anything to do with Adam or America, Britain, anything to do with let's leave it there with Adam, because I don't want to get you sidetracked too far. Now, let's get back to the house of Saudi Arabia. Now, sisters and brothers, do this. Oh, we're going right here. Now, it says here in the Jerusalem Post that Saudi royal family are descendants of Jews who fought Muhammad, Iranian general. The commander of Iran's Navy said in a speech on January the 7th that the modern-day Saudi Arabia royal family are descendants of Jews who fought early Muslim tribes. So, sisters and brothers, this is sharing that this is given that these monarchies, these dictators that oppress the people and their families are made rich, their families live rich, are not even Arabs. They're not Muslims. Here it states that they're Jews. Now, of Jewish descent, posing, faking as they're Arabs, Muslims, as bad as the son of perdition, posing, faking as he's original, as if he is one of us, as he's the son, the seed of Abraham. However, Louis Farrakhan, who is the son of perdition, is the son of a Caucasian, white, Portuguese Jew named Percival Clark. He is of a direct descendant of the synagogue of the Satan. He is a Portuguese, a black-faced Portuguese Jew that is masquerading, pretending as if he's Abraham's seed or a original black man in America. And he's sitting in the temple of God. Did you get where this is going? Where am I going with this? That these nations are being hijacked by Jews pretending as if they're the people of that nation, impersonating the people with their features. Louis Farrakhan, because his mother's black, he has black skin. So he's impersonating, acting as if he's the true seed of Abraham. No, when he's the son of perdition, the man of sin, the son of a Caucasian Portuguese Jew. And you can easily look that up, sisters and brothers. Now, sisters and brothers, it states here, let's look at it a little bit. The commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy said on January 7th that the ruling royal family of Saudi Arabia were actually Jewish, and that their conflict with Iran harkens back to the 7th century battles between Muslim and Jewish tribes. The speech was aired on Iran's Bashir TV and translated by the Middle East Media Research Institute. You can look that up and do more investigation if you like to. But this, where we're going with this, sisters and brothers, the dragon knows who we are. They know that we're coming for our land. So this is why that they're siding, and protecting false Israel. They make it out with all the Arabs. Fastly can easily take out false Israel if they wanted to. They know that false Israel is not Israel. They know that false Israel is false. However, as we're seeing here, the angel shares with us that this monarchy, these dictators that are being placed, they're in place, they've been put in place by America because they couldn't trust, no, they didn't trust any Muslims. So they put the monarch, a family of Indians, and they're saying Jews could be some Indian Jews that's been placed in control and leadership These dictators that are backed by America's military and the and the money that they generate from their natural resources. Now, sisters and brothers, this is what's taking place in heaven in the Middle East. Now, yes, okay, let's do this. All right.
Because what is unfolding in the Persian Gulf is nothing short of a historic earthquake. In the last few hours, the unthinkable has happened. King Hamad bin Isa al Khalifa, the man who has ruled Bahrain with an iron fist for nearly 3 decades, has reportedly fled the country. It wasn't a planned state visit, and it wasn't a diplomatic tour. It was an evacuation. They are determined to make this a permanent place of protest. 1 person has been killed and 8 others have been wounded under the cover of night as protests turned into an outright revolution and as Iranian missiles turned the Sheikh Issa airbase into a smoldering ruin. The king of Bahrain ran. He didn't walk, he ran. Witnesses and local sources are confirming that the royal family has been scrambled out of the Rifa Palace, leaving behind a nation that is finally, after decades of sectarian apartheid, rising up to take back what is theirs. This is happening just days after Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was in the country, trying to project an image of stability and alliance. But stability is a lie when you rule a majority Shia population with American bombs and Saudi boots. And that illusion has just shattered. To understand the rage flooding the streets of Manama and Muharraq right now, we have to look at the gasoline that was poured on the fire. The brutal torture and death of a 32-year-old man named Mohammed al-Musawi. This isn't just another name on a long list of victims of the Al-Khalifa dictatorship. This is the spark that detonated the powder keg. Mohammed al-Musawi was a prisoner of conscience, a man who had already spent 12 years of his life in the regime's dungeons for daring to demand freedom. He was released in a wave of pardons in 2024, and he spent his brief taste of freedom breathing the air of his homeland. But on March 19th, he was picked up at a security checkpoint in Muharraq. He was taken into custody, and for days his family heard nothing. When his body was finally returned to them yesterday, what they received wasn't a man. It was a mutilated corpse. Videos circulating online, and I warn you, they are graphic, show the face, legs, arms, and feet of Mohammed al-Musawi, ravaged by the tools of torture used by the Bahraini Ministry of Interior. This was a man beaten, burned, and broken behind bars. And for what crime? According to the Bahraini dictatorship, he was guilty of espionage and communication with Iran's military. They accused him of being a sleeper agent, of being a traitor to a regime that views the very existence of its Shia majority as an act of treason. They fabricated cells and organizations to justify the murder. But the streets know the truth. Mohammed al-Musawi is the first martyr of this new intifada. His funeral in Muharraq today wasn't a somber procession. It was a war cry. Thousands of mourners turned into protesters, and protesters turned into revolutionaries, flooding past the security forces who are now reportedly retreating to protect what's left of the royal palaces. If you are watching this, you know that the truth is being buried under the rubble of Western propaganda. We are one of the only channels bringing you the raw reality of what is happening in the Persian Gulf. The Empire doesn't want you to see these images. They don't want you to know that the people of Bahrain are finally breaking their chains. We need your help to keep this message alive. Hit that like button, not just for the algorithm, but to tell the establishment that we see through their lies. Share this video with everyone you know. Drop a comment. Even if it's just a dot or a single word of solidarity for the people of Bahrain, let them know we are watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to support honest journalism. Subscribe because the corporate media will never tell you the truth about the wars being fought in your name. Now, if you want to understand why we are here today, you have to understand the rot at the core of the Al Khalifa dynasty. This is a family that has been clinging to power through a mix of British colonialism, American militarism, and Saudi bribery since the 18th century. But the modern story is the story of a Sunni minority that rules a Shia majority through fear and foreign intervention. King Hamad, who just fled, inherited a country that was always a powder keg. In 2011, during the Arab Spring, the people of Bahrain rose up, occupying the Pearl Roundabout, demanding not to topple the monarchy, but simply to have a constitutional government, a voice, a seat at the table. How did the Al Khalifa respond? They begged Saudi Arabia to invade. The Saudi military rolled across the King Fahd Causeway with tanks and troops, crushed the protest, and helped the Al Khalifa regime impose a brutal security lockdown. That was the moment the West showed its true colors. Obama said nothing. Biden said nothing. Trump, who came later, called the king a great friend. The regime didn't just survive, it thrived because it understood one simple truth. The United States doesn't care about Bahrainis, it cares about the base. So the dynasty has spent the last decade and a half doubling down on sectarian division. They import Sunni mercenaries from Pakistan and Syria to staff the security forces, pitting foreigners against the local Shia population to break any sense of solidarity. They tell Washington that any reform is a victory for Iran, and they use the fear of Tehran to justify the imprisonment of children. It is a house of cards held together by American air power and Saudi oil money. But those cards are falling. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the gaping silence from the Western media, and help the Al Khalifa regime impose a brutal security lockdown. That was the moment the West showed its true colors. Obama said nothing. Biden said nothing. Trump, who came later, called the king a great friend. The regime didn't just survive, it thrived because it understood one simple truth. The United States doesn't care about Bahrainis, it cares about the base. So the dynasty has spent the last decade and a half doubling down on sectarian division. They import Sunni mercenaries from Pakistan and Syria to staff the security forces, pitting foreigners against the local Shia population to break any sense of solidarity. They tell Washington that any reform is a victory for Iran, and they use the fear of Tehran to justify the imprisonment of children. It is a house of cards held together by American air power and Saudi oil money. But those cards are falling. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the gaping silence from the Western media. Where is CNN? Where is the BBC? Where are the headlines demanding democracy and human rights? They are silent. They are mute. They are mute for one reason, and one reason only. Bahrain hosts the United States Navy Fifth Fleet. That's it. That is the entire explanation for the hypocrisy that stinks to high heaven. For years, the American establishment has fed us a narrative that they are the global champions of freedom, that they weep for the people of Iran under the tyranny of the Islamic Republic. They pour billions into propaganda. They sanction nations. They even launch wars in the name of democracy. They don't see a population crying out for liberation. They see a strategic asset. They see a parking spot for their warships and a launching pad for their illegal genocidal war on Iran. The silence is complicity. The silence is an endorsement of the torture that killed Mohammed al-Musawi. The United States wants democracy for the people of Iran because Iran refuses to bow to Washington.
But for Bahrain, a country that acts as a mercenary base for American power, silence is golden, and dictatorships are rewarded. And here is where the hypocrisy gets even more absurd. While the Al Khalifa regime is crying about peace and neutrality, claiming they are just a small, peaceful nation trying to stay out of the conflict, they are literally allowing their desert sands to be used as a launch pad for attacks on the Iranian people. For weeks now, the United States has been using Bahraini territory to stage airstrikes against Iran. The Sheikh Issa Air Base, located just south of Manama, has been a central hub for American fighter jets, bombers, and drones that are currently dropping ordnance on Iranian infrastructure. The king stood up and pretended to be a mediator, pretending that Bahrain was a neutral party, a voice of reason. But his country was the forward operating base for an illegal war of aggression. It was only a matter of time before the Iranian military responded. And respond they did. We are now seeing reports that Iranian missiles and drones have devastated the Sheikh Issa Air Base. We're not talking about minor damage. We are talking about the destruction of command centers, the obliteration of aircraft fuel depots, and hangars housing advanced P-8 surveillance aircraft and MQ-9 Reaper drones being blown to pieces. Video footage shows massive plumes of smoke rising over what used to be the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Central Command. The irony is lost on no one. The king invited the Americans to use his country as a shield to attack Iran, and Iran simply knocked the shield out of his hand. He bet his kingdom on the idea that the U.S. military could protect him, but the U.S. military couldn't even protect its own hangars. As the king flees, the question on everyone's mind is, where is he going? He isn't going to a summer home in Europe. He's going to Saudi Arabia. He's crossing that same causeway that the Saudi tanks used to crush his people back in 2011. But this time, he's running in the opposite direction. He will seek refuge in Riyadh, hoping that his Saudi patrons will find a way to prop him up. But even Riyadh is on fire right now. Saudi Arabia is watching its own Shia population in the eastern province, the province that sits on top of 90% of the kingdom's oil. And those people are watching Bahrain. They are watching their brethren break free. The Saudi National Guard is stretched thin, and the Americans are too busy losing their bases to protect a fallen king. If the Al Khalifa regime collapses entirely, the vacuum left behind is terrifying for Washington. You have a Shia majority population armed with a revolutionary fervor sitting just across the causeway from the world's most important oil fields. The Iranian military does not need to invade. They don't need to send a single soldier. The liberation of Bahrain would be an ideological victory that would send shockwaves through every Gulf monarchy. The United States is terrified of this outcome, and that is why they have been trying desperately for days to hold the regime together. But you cannot hold a dictatorship together with airstrikes when your water supply is gone and your army is melting away. So here we are. King Hamad bin Isa al Khalifa wanted to be the guardian of a dynasty. Instead, he will be remembered as the man who lost it. He wanted to be the protector of the American empire in the Gulf. Instead, he has become its casualty. The body of Muhammad al-Musawi lies in a grave in Muharram, but his spirit is marching through the streets of Manama. The American Fifth Fleet is no longer the protector of the regime. It is the target that brought the regime down. And as the sun sets over the Persian Gulf tonight, the people of Bahrain are no longer asking for reform. They are no longer asking for a constitution. They are sweeping away the debris of a dynasty that ruled them with torture, fear, and the silent complicity of the Western world. In the end, the fall of Bahrain will be studied as a case study in hubris, a small island nation blessed with strategic location, but cursed with a ruling family that valued power over people. They had every opportunity to reform, to share power, to build a real democracy. Instead, they chose torture. They chose apartheid. They chose to be the launchpad for American wars. And now, they are paying the price. The deserts of Bahrain that they rented out to the Americans are now scorched earth. The palaces they built with stolen wealth are now empty. And the people, the same people they accused of being Iranian agents, are walking through the streets, not as agents of a foreign power, but as citizens reclaiming their homeland. The revolution is not just about toppling a king. It is about ending a century of colonial-era rule that never ended. It just changed uniforms. As the sun rises tomorrow, Bahrain may be a different country. One thing is for certain. The Al Khalifa era is over. And the American empire has just lost another key piece of real estate. Not to Iran, but to the will of the people they chose to ignore.
All right, sisters and brothers. Now, these are the events, some of the events that we're dealing with that are being dealt with right now in real time in this conflict. Giving you more detail to what's taking place in real time and how it is bringing everything that has been shared beforehand by the messenger of the covenant from the unsealed scriptures. This light is being made so clear. The truth of this light is getting brighter and brighter because each and every detail is being manifested in your face. Sisters and brothers, this is a beautiful day or time for us. Sisters and brothers, it is going to get bad. This is shared through scripture, a time of unprecedented trouble. Like unprecedented means a time like never before. Never before. Now, sisters and brothers, the unsealed scripture shared with us, the house of Sod is sitting on our land. Their implants from India. Now it's even shared that they may be Indian Jews, but the angel shares with us that they're Indians. Now, they may be Indian Jews that have been put into rulership as the royal family by British imperialism in America, keeping them in power. Sisters and brothers, and they are collapsing. And you can see this war forming into a Muslim Shia Sunni conflict. As well as the conflict dealing with Gog, Magog, and Satan, false Israel, the devil, Satan, and the dragon, Saudi Arabia. Now, sisters and brothers, let us move on. Let's do it like this. All right. Before we move on, sisters and brothers, this war is directly connected to us. The war in heaven, Michael and his angels, versus the dragon and the angels of him. Sisters and brothers, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, and Iran using it, the Strait of Hormuz, as a tool against the West. America and false Israel and Britain and the world, because 20% of the world's gas and oil supplies come through the Strait of Hormuz every day. Now, this this 20% of oil has been stopped. Now, sisters and brothers, we're gonna watch this next clip, and then we're gonna bring it together, and then we're gonna close. However, sisters and brothers, before we look at this clip, we as a people have to experience something drastic to get us to see reality, to use our mind to snap us out of, to wake us up, to snap us out of this American dream, to snap us out of this dead state, something drastic to jump start our minds. So, sisters and brothers, this time of unprecedented trouble, this time like never was, we about to go through a time like never before. Never that worse than the Holocaust, worse than our 400 years of slavery. It says unprecedented trouble. We are about to go through this, sisters and brothers. We will go through tribulations here in America. Now, sisters and brothers, we are responsible for our nation. We're responsible for our brothers. We're responsible for our sisters. We're responsible for ourselves. We are a nation. We are one body. We need each other. Sisters and brothers, the scriptures state that many of our people are going to lose their lives. Sisters and brothers, understand, the scriptures share with us that means many of us are going to lose loved ones because they are going to lack the knowledge that they need to be informed of what's taking place, informed of this absolute, perfect, clear message that is being given to us. This is not to condemn you or us. This is a free message for us to understand the unsealed scriptures, to understand what's taking place and what is going to take place, so that we will know what's taking place and what to do, what to expect. Sisters and brothers, this is the great time for us if you know this knowledge. If you understand this message is a way out, a way home. Everything we need is being provided. We have everything we need. You have to understand this message. You have to let go of the lies and the deceit. And you have to give this message to your family, friends. Pass this message on. Sisters and brothers, We'll speak on that. Let's watch the clip and then we'll speak on it and prepare to close. I'll do that next. Ran out of time.
I need to talk to Black America right now because nobody is breaking this down for us. There is a war happening in the Middle East. Bombs are falling on Iran across 24 provinces. The Strait of Hormuz, the waterway where 20% of the world's oil passes through every single day, has been shut down. Oil tankers are sitting still. Supply chains are freezing. And I need you to understand what that means for your life. Not in some abstract geopolitical way. I mean your gas tank, your grocery bill, your rent, your job. Because every single time America starts a war in the Middle East, there is a chain reaction that hits home. Oil prices spike, gas goes up. When gas goes up, everything goes up. Because everything in this country is moved by trucks that run on fuel. Food gets more expensive. Shipping gets more expensive. Heating your home gets more expensive. Companies start cutting costs. And when companies cut costs, the first people who lose their jobs, the first neighborhoods that lose services, the first communities that slip into crisis are Black communities, every single time. This isn't theory. It happened after the Gulf War. It happened after Iraq. It happened after Libya. And what's happening right now in Iran is bigger than all of those combined. If you're new here, this is Black Culture Unlocked. Subscribe and hit the bell, because this is the video the news should be showing right now, but won't. Let me explain why this particular war is more dangerous to your wallet than any war America has fought in decades. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway between Iran and Oman. It is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, and roughly 20% of all the oil consumed on Earth passes through it every single day. That is about 21 million barrels of oil every day, moving through a choke point narrower than the distance from one side of Manhattan to the other. When Operation Epic Fury launched on February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel struck Iran across 24 of its 31 provinces. Iran's navy was targeted directly, and 11 vessels were sunk in the Gulf of Oman in a matter of days. The naval headquarters in Bandar Abbas, which sits directly on the strait, was engulfed in flames. Iran responded by effectively closing the Strait of Hormuz. Commercial tanker traffic has stalled. Insurance companies are refusing to cover ships passing through the area. Oil that was flowing freely 2 weeks ago is now sitting in ports with nowhere to go. The last time the Strait of Hormuz was even threatened with closure, not actually closed, oil prices jumped 15% in a single week. This time, it is not a threat. The waterway is functionally shut down. And every barrel of oil that cannot get through that strait is a barrel that drives prices higher for everyone, and especially for people who were already stretched thin before this started. Here's how this hits you directly. When oil prices spike, gas prices follow within days, not weeks, days. Gas stations adjust their prices based on the wholesale cost of fuel, and that wholesale cost is tied directly to global oil markets. The Strait of Hormuz shutting down is the single most disruptive event that can happen to oil supply on Earth. We saw it after Iraq in 2003. Gas prices rose nearly 50% between 2003 and 2008. We saw it after Libya in 2011. Gas hit $4 a gallon nationally, and in some cities it crossed $5 a gallon. We saw it after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. Gas spiked to over $5 a gallon nationally, the highest in American history at the time. But here's the part that hits Black communities specifically. When gas goes up, everything goes up. The price of food in the United States is directly tied to transportation costs. Over 70% of all freight in the United States moves by truck. Those trucks run on diesel. When diesel prices spike, the cost of getting food from farms to warehouses to grocery stores goes up, and that cost gets passed directly to you at the register. In 2022, when gas hit its peak after the Ukraine crisis, food prices in the United States rose by over 10% in a single year, the fastest increase in 40 years. Studies consistently show that food price inflation hits Black households harder because Black families spend a higher percentage of their income on food and essentials than white families. When you are already spending 30 to 35% of your income just to eat and keep the lights on, a 10% price increase is not an inconvenience. It is a crisis. This is the conversation nobody is having on the news. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video right now. Like and subscribe. Let's keep going. Every major Middle East conflict in the last 50 years has been followed by an economic downturn in the United States. Every one. The 1973 oil embargo, triggered by conflict in the Middle East, caused a recession that lasted until 1975. Unemployment hit 9%. Inflation reached double digits. The 1979 Iranian Revolution and the war between Iran and Iraq that followed caused oil prices to double. The United States entered a deep recession in 1980 that lasted 2 years. Unemployment peaked at nearly 11%. The 1990 Gulf War caused an oil price shock that contributed to the recession from 1990 to 1991. The 2003 invasion of Iraq helped fuel the conditions through deficit spending and economic instability that led to the financial crisis from 2007 to 2008. And here's the pattern within the pattern. In every single one of those recessions, Black unemployment was roughly double white unemployment. Every time. That's not a coincidence. It's structural. Black workers are disproportionately in industries that get hit first during economic downturns, including the service sector, retail, hospitality, and transportation. When companies start laying people off, they start at the bottom. And in America, the bottom has always been disproportionately Black. During the 2008 financial crisis, Black unemployment peaked at 16.8%, nearly double the national average. Black household wealth dropped by 53% between 2005 and 2009. The median white household had 20 times the wealth of the median Black household by 2009. A huge portion of that wealth destruction came from the housing crisis, which hit Black homeowners hardest because they had been steered into predatory subprime loans at rates far higher than white borrowers with the same credit profiles. That's what happens when wars create economic shocks. The shock travels through the system and lands hardest on the people with the least cushion. And in America, that's Black people. Always has been. And here's the part that should make you angry. Every time America enters a war, military recruitment in Black communities increases. Not because Black people are more patriotic, because the economic conditions created by war, rising prices, fewer jobs, and shrinking opportunities push people into the military as a last resort. The military knows this. Recruitment offices are disproportionately concentrated in low-income neighborhoods. Recruiters target high schools in communities with the fewest college-bound students and the highest unemployment. They offer signing bonuses, college tuition, health care, housing, everything that the economy just made harder to access. Black Americans are overrepresented in the military relative to their share of the population. They are overrepresented in the enlisted ranks, the people on the front lines, while being underrepresented in the officer corps. The people giving the orders are disproportionately white. The people carrying them out are disproportionately black and brown. So let me draw the line for you. America starts a war. That war creates an economic crisis at home. That crisis hits black communities hardest. That hardship drives black men and women into the military. Then the military sends them to fight the very war that destroyed their economic prospects in the first place. It's a cycle. It is not an accident. It is a pipeline. From your neighborhood to the battlefield, funded by the very instability the war creates. So what is coming from the Iran war specifically? Let me be direct. If the Strait of Hormuz remains disrupted for weeks or months, oil prices could reach levels we have not seen since 2008, possibly higher. Gas prices nationally could push past $6 a gallon. In some cities, you could be looking at $7 or $8 a gallon. Oil prices will ripple through the economy. When that happens, food prices will follow. Rent pressures will increase as landlords pass energy costs to tenants. Small businesses in black neighborhoods, already operating on thin margins, will start closing. Hiring will freeze. Layoffs will begin in the sectors where black workers are most concentrated. If this escalates into a prolonged conflict, if American troops are deployed on the ground, if Iran continues retaliating, if oil supply is disrupted for months, we are looking at a potential recession. And we already know who gets hurt worst in a recession. Here is what makes this moment different from previous wars. Black America is already under economic pressure. The wealth gap has not closed. Median black household wealth is still a fraction of median white household wealth. Housing costs have been rising for years. Student loan burdens weigh disproportionately on black graduates. This war is not hitting a community with a cushion. It is hitting a community that was already on the edge. So what can you do? First, understand what is happening. Do not let the news frame this as something happening over there. Every bomb that drops on Iran sends a ripple through the global economy that will reach your grocery store within weeks. Second, prepare. Lock in prices where you can. Reduce unnecessary spending. Build whatever financial cushion you are able to, even if it is small. Third, pay attention to who is profiting. Defense contractors, oil companies, financial firms that bet on volatility. Every war creates winners and losers, and the winners are never the people in your neighborhood. And fourth, remember this the next time someone tells you the war was necessary. Ask them who paid the price, because the answer is always the same. The news covers this war like it is a military story. Missiles, targets, casualties, strategic objectives. But for Black America, this is not a military story. It is the economic story. It is the story of how a conflict 7,000 miles away is about to make it harder for you to fill your tank, feed your kids, pay your rent, and keep your job. And the part that should keep you up at night, they know this. The people who make these decisions, the politicians, the defense contractors, the oil executives, they know exactly what happens to Black communities when wars drive up prices and crash economies. They have seen it every time. They have the data, they have the history, and they do it anyway. Because Black communities absorbing the economic shockwaves of American wars is not a bug in the system. It is the system. Now you know how it works. Do not let it work on you without you seeing it coming. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, share this with everyone, drop a comment and tell me, has the cost of gas or groceries already hit your household? The war just started and the bill hasn't even arrived yet. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, sisters and brothers. Now, this war as I shared, is directly connected to us. America has planned out. This is a multi-layered plan. The fallout, the backlash. America understands what this backlash is going to bring, not just on America and all blacks here in America, not just our nation, all blacks, and nations around the world. However, sisters and brothers, there's a plan set here in America to attack all blacks. Sisters and brothers, with the information that was just given to you, and understanding that in the end, he said, they know how the wars affect us. They use the war to destroy our economy, our economic. They destroy our economics, force our children to fight in their war. So, sisters and brothers, what's being done there, what's taking place is they're causing our way of life to be destroyed, our jobs to be destroyed, our jobs are going to get deplaced. So they're going to use our brothers and sisters, our children, to put them in a war, to get them killed, to fight in their war. Sisters and brothers, don't fight in, don't you join. No, this is a design to throw you in the river. Because America is, sisters and brothers, America, this war is not the last. This war is just the beginning of wars that America is about to be in. America is going to immediately go to war with their allies, their sisters. It's a European war. The War of Armageddon will immediately start after this war in heaven. America is going to war with Russia and Europe. Immediately. And after being at war with Russia and Europe, America is going to be invaded by China and India. They will touch the American soil. All the nations are watching America. And America is being exposed in front of the world. Sisters and brothers, this ICE, America knows that your jobs are going to be gone. They know you're going to be hungry. And you want to know what they're planning for us. The unsealed scripture share with us what they're planning. Now the scripture, sisters and brothers, shares with us in Exodus chapter 1, verse 9 through 10. Oh, excuse me, sisters and brothers. Okay, let's see what it is. What's going on? All right. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become too numerous and too powerful for us. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, or they will increase even more. And if a war breaks out, they may join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. Sisters and brothers, let us deal shrewdly with them. Sisters and brothers, America is and has been attacking us from every elevated place. We as a nation has been consistently under attack, being murdered physically, systematically. An assault has been out for our lives. Sisters and brothers, America understands that we are the true seed of Abraham. We do not understand as of yet who we are. And the truth of that is being blocked. Blocked by all types of static, noise, lies, deceit. And our people, our nation, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our children are going to feel the effect from not knowing the truth. Sisters and brothers, America has set a trap. And the trap, let us deal shrewdly with them from both ends, from every aspect of what you're witnessing. Either you're going to assist them as a pawn to be pushed into their wars, utilized to be killed that way, or they've set a trap fundamentally with the system, because we as a people are going to suffer first with the loss of jobs, the lack of food. There will be a recession in America like never before. This war that we're witnessing is going, sisters and brothers, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed for weeks. The UK has approximately 2 weeks worth of oil or gas. There's billions of people in India stuck at the gas pump waiting for gas, trying to get gas. There's countries that had to shut down air travel because they do not have any jet fuel. Sisters and brothers, let me see. Let's talk. Sisters and brothers, gas is one aspect, but there's it's a compound of ideas that will cause different scenarios as it was shared. This is going to cause a domino effect in all types of sectors of life across the globe. Sisters and brothers, that the effect going to be so astronomical, so catastrophic, sisters and brothers, when the effect would be that it would take years to try to regain. You have to understand what a time of unprecedented trouble, what the scripture shares that's about to take place. This gas shortage, and war, America is going to have to calm down the gas that they're receiving, because you can't go to war and maintain a war footing without petrol, without gas to put in your planes. Your war machines all need petrol. So when America is getting or is not receiving any petrol from petrol from the Middle East, none. They're not. When America's thrown out the Middle East, they're not getting any oil. Listen, sisters and brothers, we think the 20% that comes through the Strait of Hormuz is the only oil affected. No. The oil that comes that is coming out the Middle East, and though it's being, let me see, what is it? The Indian Ocean. Oh, you understand that all that oil over there, even areas to where the oil comes from other than through the Strait of Hormuz, the oil, they're not going to be able to get any oil out of that region. Any. Now, I didn't play it. I should have, to let you get an understanding of what this is, what these videos are for, to prick your thinking to the reality that you're about to experience, and the unsealed scriptures to get you to see that everything that's being shared with you, you're being told beforehand, and you can see each event taking you right down the path, or the details that has been given to you far ahead of time. So you, sisters and brothers, we're God's chosen people. So this is not happening to us happenstance. This is not a mistake. This is not we have been given detailed information so we can come through this scenario, this situation, unscathed. We know the plan And the plan, they have a plan, but God has a plan, a better plan, what you say? A the perfect plan. So, sisters and brothers, we have to understand that we're about to go through something, but it's a blessing for us. It's a blessing. It's going to bring us together as a nation. It's going to clear our minds. It's going to unify us. This is a purification process because we refuse to accept what's been given to us. If we as a people would have just accepted the truth and from the messenger Elijah Muhammad, who gave us, built a nation to secure us as a people, and we allowed a Jew, Aaron Louis Farrakhan, and Elijah Muhammad's son Wallace D. Muhammad to destroy everything that Elijah built for us, ours. Banks, clothing shops, food shops, supermarkets, livestock, farmland, a trucking company, everything, housing, apartment buildings, everything that we needed across the country. Elijah Muhammad produced a nation to where we did not, we had our own economic system. We was economic sound in using and dealing with self. We were passing our funds amongst us. And Louis Farrakhan, the chief demon, got rid of that. And he's teaching Catholicism, modern day Catholicism, Scientology. And they're teaching Sunnism. Sisters and brothers, we stay on path. So this is a plan that they have. They're trying to spin it. They're going to use it both ways to attack us, to kill us off, either in war, putting us on the front line, or what you see with this ICE. So since they know that jobs are going to be short, we won't have jobs for them. And we don't need jobs for them because we have AI that can do a lot of the jobs that they're doing. So we are going to make America great again. What's that mean? And give millions of dollars to ICE. What for? And these ICE facilities are ballooning up across America. And you're witnessing these facilities what they say, these facilities are ballooning up across America. These ICE facilities. And you're watching them do dress rehearsals throughout black cities and neighborhoods, throughout cities in black neighborhoods of how they're going to attack us. And they're putting, they're, what is these? They're not penitentiaries, they're not jails. These are, but sisters and brothers, these are concentration camps that they're putting, using your own tax money, paying millions of dollars of your tax funds, your own money to set up a trap for you or for us. They've set up, sister, this, let us deal shrewdly with them. Shrewdly. From every elevated place, sisters and brothers. Now, we can. No, I'm not. Now, sisters and brothers, we know what they're doing with this ICE. This DOD effect, this DOD directive is what they're using, and it went into effect on September the 27th, 2024. And this DOD gives them the right to use lethal force on U.S. citizens. Basically, they're saying U.S. citizens, but they're speaking on us. And it tells you in this, Tom, you must understand that we are responsible for getting this information to our people. So do you understand when somebody is giving you, sharing with you prophecy, which is knowledge of what is coming before it gets there, to give you a roadmap to be successful when these things take place. That scripture tells you that God always provided his people with a message from a messenger of his people to lead the people, for they will be successful through whatever time that it is a leader of the people. One of them chosen, given a message that will provide them with what is needed to be known for the time. So when you've been given that and the message is so clear, then our people, these are just things that enhance the truth that you already have, for you can identify reality of the planning, the what's coming for you. You know, uh, you, because many of our people don't believe they're disbelievers. And many of them don't even read, and even the reading, if you just read, you listen, you follow what's being shared and go investigate what's being shared, you will find out that, hey, it's got to be true because they're not lying. And sisters and brothers, this is one thing. What sense would it make for me to lie, or us to lie or deceive our nation, our people, our nation who is dependent on truth, on light to get through what's about to take place? If no one is sharing the truth with you, do you understand? Just understanding the facts that that reality has set up and is about to take place, things that you cannot do nothing with. So what's about to happen, it's being shown to you. It's being, and you don't. What's coming down the pipeline from this war is going to be catastrophic, like all over the planet. The scripture shares it's going to be famine. Sisters and brothers, the only meat out here going to be dark meat or white meat. Take your pick. Take your pick. Cannibalism. It's going to be that bad. Do you understand? Do you not look and see shut down buildings, shut down factories? Sisters and brothers, you don't understand. You have no idea what this war presents. False Israel, and it's taking the world to that, the whole world economic system collapse. It's trying to collapse the whole economic system because of them. No one, false Israel sees their self. No, they see everyone on the planet is nothing. They're the only thing that's worth saving. And if they're not saved, then the whole world needs to go. The whole world is disposable for their sake. Sisters and brothers, Satan is going to try to Satan will try to destroy the whole world. Before it's destroyed, before they're destroyed. So false Israel is causing a world crisis. Right now with this war. And they will not stop. They will not stop. They understand. They got America in. They got to do this. Why? America's with them. Because once America's thrown out, they're going to be all alone. Nothing they can do. And sisters and brothers, we know the unsealed scriptures lets us know that America and false Britain and false Israel becomes more violent as the pressure builds on them. They become more violent. There's no red lines that'll kill anything, children, dogs, whatever. And you know, they love dogs. So when they start killing dogs, you know, that's when you really know they're gonna, but that's when you really know it's on. Sisters and brothers, false Israel is going to attempt to use a nuclear weapon. They're going to attempt to use nuclear weapons. And when they go to use these nuclear weapons, the God, Master Fard Muhammad, and his will, his ships, they're going to intercept, defuse them weapons. The God is not going to allow false Israel to nuke our land. Sisters and brothers, let me bring this to an end. Oh, yes. However, we was into this assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilians, individuals, or groups is reasonably anticipated. Sisters and brothers, force, lethal force. Now, you're hungry, you have no food, no job, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, gas prices and shot up, you're laid off. Now, they're making America great again. What? Now, what they gonna do with you? They got these ballooning camps, these ballooning facilities that ICE is going to be pushing you. What they got them planned for us. For us, brothers and sisters. They are planning to put us. They know either you're gonna go to war for us, or we're gonna put you here and you might not eat. They got a thing like Professor Morales. They have a thing for children. They're being shared that they're raping people. They're raping, and you don't know that they make claims that they're raping people inside of the facilities as of now. Claims of rape, you can't even see inside of them. So if they're just killing people out in the opening where people got cameras and cameras is all over, and you can just imagine inside the facilities where you can't see, you can't go in, what's taking place in there. So and it's children, women, and they don't have to give account to who these, you don't know where they come from, people looking for their loved ones, and they're probably in these facilities already. Sisters and brothers, this America, this is the plan. They have foreign military on American soil, because if they give an order and the police or the military, American police or military is slow or have a problem with the orders, they have an outside military that don't have no connections with no one, and they're going to carry out the orders. So, sisters and brothers, matter of fact, it's going to be worse than that, because when the situation gets bad and they have an aid, what do you think you better understand that you think, all white, when they get hungry, it's going to turn to, we got to feed ours. I got to feed mine. They ain't going to think about us. Not one iota. Sisters and brothers, let's bring this to a close. When America is thrown out the Middle East, they're going to send out a national security alert to attack all blacks. Before false Israel is destroyed. Sisters and brothers, the outcome of this war is going to throw America out the Middle East. The House of Saudi Arabia will be thrown out the Middle East. Britain will be thrown out the Middle East. and false Israel will be sieged and destroyed. Sisters and brothers, false Israel's destruction is going to destroy the whole Christian, their whole religious eschatology will be destroyed, and it's going to shock the world. It's going to make all nations know for without a shadow of a doubt that we, the original black man and woman in America, are God's chosen people, just as Elijah shared. America, the world will know that America is under judgment. And the world is under judgment. This world as you know it is coming to an end. America power is dwindling. China and India will be empowered. They will be, for a short time, empowered. Africa will break into two factions, two countries united, one Christian, one half, the other half Islamic. Sisters and brothers, we have been given all the details, all the information. We have been kept up, told far in advance. This is a reward. This is a plan made for us. Sisters and brothers, we're not staying here in this hell hole. We are going home. Arabia will be cleared out, and we are going home to our land. God said, I will bring you out with great substance. Abraham, in that day I made a covenant with Abraham. In that day I made a covenant with Abram, saying, until thy seed have I given this land. Sisters and brothers, from the river Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, that's Arabia. And anyone that tell you that that's a lie, it's the they're calling God a lie. The people that sojourned in this strange land, all these things, for 400 years was afflicted. After that 400 years, I will judge that nation. I will bring them out with great substance. I promised Abraham, I made a covenant with Abraham in that day until your seed. I will give them the land from the river Egypt, from the river Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. sisters and brothers, we're going home. We're not staying here. This is what they have planned for us. Look at it. It's all coming. It's all coming to everything that's being shared. You can back it up with what you're witnessing. Sisters and brothers, it's so much so much more information out there. Find it. It's there. It's out there for you. This war is escalating all through the region, and America is being destroyed. Every bases everywhere. America is being reached out and touched. Saudi Arabia, this war will end just as the unsealed scriptures share. America thrown out the Middle East. They're not going to have a choice. Thrown out, it said, thrown out with fire on their ass. Sisters and brothers, it's not going to stop. It's inevitable. With that, I'm going to bring this to a close. Sisters and brothers, we are responsible for getting this message to our people. Sisters and brothers, they're blocking the truth. The truth that we're the true seed of Abraham. And a lot of our people are ignorant to that point. But it's all right. We're not going to condemn them, because when things get tough, when the truth, when reality hit their ass, when that fire touch them, oh, that's when our people get to thinking. Meaning some, when they better under pressure. However, sisters and brothers, the scriptures does share that many of our people are going to lose their lives. And they didn't have to. They didn't have to. That's the thing. They didn't have to lose their lives. This message has been given far in advance. The fact of what is and what to do. Get at least 30 days of food, 60 if you can. Get you at least 30 to 60 gallons worth of gas so you can have a tank to move around with to get to where you need to get to. Sisters and brothers, the messenger of the covenant will suddenly appear in the messenger's temple. The Lord whom you're seeking. That's who you're seeking. The Lord you're seeking will suddenly appear in the messenger's temple. Sisters and brothers, with that, I'm going to bring this to a close and greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.